Thank you. And greetings. My name is Adrianos Golemis. I'm a medical doctor, and I'd like to share with the help of our colleagues in Antarctica a few experiences that are really related to isolation, and this actually links there's a link with loneliness, right? So you had a nice session just before where everybody got together and mixed up. This is kind of the opposite. Touches really on the loneliness that we can feel. So here you see Antarctica, but talking about loneliness and the connection to mental health, that's why we're here. I'd like to take you a step back. And this is something we all can relate to. That was COVID, that was 2020. Coincidentally, during that time, I was working as a medical doctor in a hospital, in a psychiatric ward. And if you think about it, we had psychiatric patients that were battling against their ailment, and in the same time, they were lonely. Why was that? Because they could not have visits from family or friends. That was prohibited due to the virus, right? And then you had your nurse and your doctor talking to you dressed up like that. So, you know, you have an overall, you have a mask, and this really prohibits person-to-person communication that can make you lonely. And there was definitely, we observed actually a link to mental health due to that effect. And if we talk about loneliness and isolation, the other thing that comes into my head is spaceflight, human spaceflight. And so my other job is medical support of European astronauts. And what we do with my colleagues is we put the astronauts under a lot of tests, a lot of examinations. We want to be sure that they are fit and healthy to fly when the mission comes to be. And this is pre-flight. When they go to space, actually, we do the quarantine with them, and then we stay on the ground there in space, and through telemedicine, we actually monitor their health. And of course, when they come back, we need to make sure, with an enlarged team, that they can readapt to life in our planet. And that's both body, but also mind, workload, the demands of society. And let me tell you that spaceflight can be lonely, and that's because, you know, if you go to space, you would be up there for 6 months in a tin can, you would do research, you would have a heavy workload, you wouldn't see your family or friends, you can't take a stroll in the park, right? And you cannot even exit your spacecraft on request. That's only very exceptional spacewalks that are being made. So talking about that, I had the rich experience of going through an astronaut selection myself last year, and I'm really happy and proud to be the first Greek to finish the European selection for astronauts. And, well, we're far from it yet, thanks, but the important thing is the connection of space to society, not who gets to do the research there. And that's actually what I want to share. I want to share that when you go through such a procedure of getting selected, actually they really test you harshly to be sure that you can make it in isolation. And the photo I have here is actually from Russia, from Moscow. The Russian cosmonauts, before flying into space, as part of their training, they have to sit in this room. This is called the Quant room. It's in Moscow. And they have to sit in there for 3 days with no sleep and alone. So they really want to make sure that, you know, these people, when they go into space, they can really pull it together, even in the most lonely conditions. But to take you to an even more remote and isolated place, let's go to Antarctica. And here you have Concordia Station. That's a place, a research station, as Thibaut said, that is very dear to me because I spent a year there doing research. And we'll hear actually now the feeling of isolation and loneliness from the crew that is currently there. What's important to note is that this is a station in the heart of Antarctica, right? So the temperatures are pretty low, and they are so low that planes cannot reach you. They cannot fly to you, and you cannot fly out even when you need to. There's complete isolation and confinement for 9 months. Here's a photo of the old crew when I was there, and a photo of the station in the middle of the day. And just by chance, when I was there, actually, in isolation, the Greek Society of Polar Zones was founded. So the name is Elepos. If you're in Athens, if you're interested into research in the polar regions, be sure to look it up. And now, with the help of Google, we'll take a trip together from Athens, where we are. We'll go through space, which I love, and we'll end up in Antarctica in isolation. And there we'll hear from the current crew in isolation. So we'd like to welcome him with us. That would be Sascha, that's the ESA research doctor.
Hello, and thank you for being invited to speak to you.
Thank you, Sascha. And from our side, I hope I can get this right, but we also want to say hi to the entire crew. So if I remember things correctly, that would be Andrea, Claude, Davide. Then you would have Damian and Domenico and Jacopo and Luca, and of course, Rudy, Vincent, and Stefan. And if I get it right, the hardest part of the presentation is behind me.
That's correct. I just hand over the microphone to everybody to say what they are doing on the station.
Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Davide Carlucci. I'm the station leader here for the C19 mission.
Hi everyone, I'm Domenico Mura. I'm in charge of the projects of astronomy and astrophysics.
Hello everyone, I am Daniel Thielin. I'm the French glaciologist.
Hi everybody, I'm Stefan. I'm the medical doctor.
Hello, I'm Luca Rago and I'm the Italian glaciologist.
Hi everybody, I'm Andrea. I'm Italian and I'm the ICT in charge of information communication technologies.
Hello everybody, I'm Damien PCO, I'm French and I'm the plumber.
Hello, it's Claude Blanc, it's French mechanic engineer.
Hello everybody, I'm Woody, I'm the technical manager of the station.
Good morning everybody, I'm Vincent, I'm the electrician.
Good morning everybody, I'm Jacopo, I'm the chef of the station.
So thanks, and we know that actually this is the only vacation you get in a year, midwinter, so we really appreciate that you take the time to share with us your experience. And actually I think what's on everybody's mind is, can you share from your side, how does it feel to be isolated? Is it lonely? How do you feel in the special conditions of Concordia?
Yes, of course, I hand it over to Damien.
Hello. Yes, as you say, we are quite remote, and this is the first thing they told us, that no plane and no vehicle on Earth can go and pick us up during the winter. But I think we prefer to focus on the next summer and the sunrise that will happen in 1 month and a half. Yeah, we try to keep a good mood, and that's the more important in isolation, I think.
And that's true. We didn't mention that you're in the middle of polar night, so actually you don't see the sun rise for a while, and you're already 5 months in isolation. Is that correct?
Yes, we started our winter over on the 6th of February, and since the 5th of May, the sun didn't rise. We've been in darkness ever since.
And maybe on that, you can share with us actually what coping mechanisms or strategies you have to deal with that, the feeling of being so away from everything.
Yes, I kindly hand this over to Luca.
Yeah, we have the possibility to communicate with our friends and family, so that helps a lot. And personally, I like to be updated with my passion, with my hobbies, so I follow news about cinema, video games, and staying in the conversation helps me to cope with the isolation.
And could you tell us a bit more about communication? Because we know that the connection that we have now is not given. The details of communication are interested to connect to the fact of being isolated.
Yeah, I hand this over to answer the details of communication to Andrea.
Well, okay, the things are changed a little bit during the years, and now we have a stable internet connection, coping with the problems that we are in the most isolated place in the world, and we have to communicate only by satellite. And that's sometimes is a little bit difficult. But anyway, we have a more or less a stable connection with the internet, so anyone here can communicate with the family more or less in real time, or with only small interruptions. So it's not in this moment a big issue.
Thank you. And Sascha, coming back to you as you're the European Space Agency research doctor there, could you share with us some of the research you do, maybe related to isolation, but also in general, and how can that actually benefit society from your work and your commitment there?
Yes, I want to say that we all contribute with a lot of effort to this research. So I'm the one running it, but we all do a lot of things to gather the data. We are running 8 projects this year, and they are all related to space flight mainly. So we want to aid future astronauts to stay healthy in long-term space missions. But we also do one study that is particularly interesting also for people in Europe and all over the world. And it's called Choice 3, and it's investigating the changes in the immune system in isolation and chronic hypoxia, because we are on a quite high altitude here in Concordia. So we look in very detail in the immune system. It's a study from Munich. And maybe patients in intensive care units that are also suffering from hypoxia may benefit from these results. And of course also astronauts flying for a long time in space hopefully benefit from these results from the study.
Thank you, and I think that's a perfect link that you made, that research has been done in space and in unique environments like Concordia. It really pays back to society. And then, of course, with your help, we'd like to invite the audience to take a look outside of your station. Can you show us a bit of what's outside? We know it's nighttime now, 24 hours a day, but maybe we can get a good sense of how isolated you are.
Yes, we'll share the screen. Andrea will kindly share it. It's actually about 600 meters from the station. It's our astronomy shelter. And the camera is pointing towards the station, and you can see it's only a glimpse of light in the middle of nowhere, and that's actually how it feels when you look outside. It's pitch black, and we are just a tiny, tiny spot in a vast
So we see a bit of the reflection and light, but yeah, the station, so this is actually a place where no one is right now, and the camera is looking at the station, which is far, far away in the darkness. Oh, and that's a very impressive view.
Yes, also this is maybe you can see a little more from this video. This is a camera pointed at the French telescopes, which is currently searching for extrasolar planets, and I think that from this visual you can get a pretty good impression of the the isolation and the lighthouse keeper feeling that we get by working there.
And I think these are also the clearest skies worldwide, if I'm not mistaken. So thanks a lot about that. Before we bid you farewell, I have a couple of quick photos to show on my side, if the control panel can give us back the presentation. Okay, so that's an old photo that I took from Concordia from outside. It's pitch black, as the crew told us. So that's loneliness, right? That's being alone in the middle of nowhere for 9 months. But the next photo is actually about the antidote, what you use to counter that. And if we can move to the next one, let me try to find that. So the antidote is really people. And if you're lonely, it might be the person next to you, and it might be your friends and your family. I'd like to thank my family because they're here with us. But also, this is a photo of my family that flew to space, and we got it back. So with that, we'd really like to thank the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for having us. Of course, all of you, the audience, and a special thank and round of applause for Concordia that connected with us on their vacation day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.